Hello, YouTube. Good evening, YouTube. Welcome to our show tonight. Gonna do some more learning. Some more learning is coming up. Take this and share it with people. You know, get it out there. Go to Facebook, share the link. Come on live. Be a part of our super chat tonight. It's gonna be a doozy. We're going to play some YouTube audio library music. This one is called Beach Disco from YouTube. They allow you to use their music and videos. And that's what you're hearing tonight on this channel. We're going to play the music, let some people join us, because you know how it goes. You missed the beginning of the show. You got to go back and watch the beginning again once it's done, because since it's live, you can't back it up. So get here early, grab some popcorn, and wait a few more minutes and we'll get going.
Get your snacks.
Get your snacks.
Call a friend. Dial a friend. Get ready.
Ready. Set.
We got a lot to discuss tonight.
Oh yeah, a lot.
What's been going on?
Lots going on. This is up-to-date information. Up-to-date information that you only get here with a Mexican Crossing Lines. Should be good. You know, you got to watch your other shows too, because they're incremental. One show leads to the next one. The other show leads to the next one. I only got about a minute and a half of music left. I think we'll let that run, and we'll get a show in here.
Welcome, everyone, to Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You're listening to 88.1 FM KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about third-party violations. With regard to what? Restraining orders. Specifically, the restraining order that Fabiana Baldo, New York model, got against Jovi, that was granted against Jovi for second-degree criminal harassment. She was able to prove her case, and she won. What are the terms? On the last show, we covered what the terms of that restraining order were. I explained to you what the difference is between a temporary restraining order and a permanent restraining order. Mm-hmm. And I explained to you all of the penalties that the restraining order implicate if violated. And I also showed you that Jovi Val has already violated it.
Yeah, the ink wasn't even dry yet.
Yeah, he went out and violated it right away. In addition to giving you some more background on Jovi Val and how he feels about women in general, and specifically how he felt about his court trial. His trial, his hearing on the charges, the criminal charges of harassment. And I think it's very important for me to explain the details and to give you some insight as somebody that learned the law, that practiced as a paralegal for nearly 20 years, and that can demystify the differences between the restraining orders in civil court, which are, almost always are temporary in their nature, even if they're for 6 months or a year, because they're not forever. That's how they're different from a permanent restraining order, which you have to reach a much higher bar to get. You have to prove criminal harassment.
Mm-hmm.
The preponderance of the evidence is a pretty high standard. It's greater than
Beyond a reasonable.
Beyond a reasonable. Yeah, it's greater than it's great. No, it's greater than when you just think that there's more evidence in favor of the on the side of the plaintiff than in the defendant. You have to actually show that a majority of the evidence shows that the plaintiff is correct. So Fabiana did that. She did it in court. The other plaintiff in this case, as you know, is Paloma Zuniga. There are two people. I also mentioned Jovi Val's wife because she was also included as part of the original complaints of harassment that Fabiana made. And I'm going to go through what third-party harassment looks like, how it is a violation of this restraining order, and how it is also a violation of the existing restraining order that exists against Paloma Zuniga by the same person, Fabiana. We're going to cover the different ways in which third-party violations can occur, and we will show you examples of those. Plus, we're going to give you insight into a lot of the the language, the jargon, the cuckoo from the minds of these individuals, Jovi, Natasha, and Paloma, because they share the same types of delusions. They tell the same lies and they tell them together. And so we're going to decipher them and kind of unwrap them because they are a little complicated to understand. But in the end, you're going to see the very clear evidence of how all of this behavior by Natasha, by Paloma, constitutes third-party violations. But first, I want to thank all of you who are here supporting our work. And for those of you who follow us on Facebook or other social media, thank you to all of you who reach out, who send me information, who come with comments and topic ideas. And Duke, how can folks subscribe and follow and
Oh, yes.
help support our work?
Subscribe. That's on the YouTube side. You're on the Duke 1517 YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel and you'll get notification and click the little alert bell because then you'll get notified once we're going live. You'll get notified as we put more content up. We have a lot of content on that channel. We upload things almost every day because we do a lot here at the station. We have a couple other programs, a policy, the Crazy Libertarian. We have Finding Me, and we end up putting videos up on all those, and plus other interesting things that we're doing. We put on our YouTube channel at Duke 1517. Now, when you go to Facebook and you go to 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, that's our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, our main Facebook channel. And we also have the People's Press Project, a Mexi-Can. But when you're on our channel on Facebook, we do lives on there too. And we take those videos from the lives on Facebook, upload them to YouTube, so the people who are subscribed to our YouTube channel can see those, because not everybody that's on the YouTube channel are on the Facebook and vice versa. So we want to cross-platform, share those, so people can be part of the process and be part of this information. If you'd like to continue sending this information, Facebook is a great way of doing it. It seems like there's unlimited email there. You can also go to Cindy at kpppfm.com or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com and send an email with attachments or information, those sorts of things. When you're at kpppfm.com, I mention this every show because we are a nonprofit, non-commercial radio station in Fargo-Moorhead. We raise money from our viewers and our listeners like you, and your contributions are tax deductible. Tonight we're doing a super chat. If you go down there and there's a little dollar sign, you want to help support us, hit that, make a contribution. We'll mention that you did. And that sort of support helps keep us going. We appreciate it. We try to make the YouTube super chats a bit different, a bit more interactive, and a lot of fun. So fasten your seatbelt, Dorothy. We're not in Kansas anymore.
No, we're not. First, I want to talk about the importance of explaining the law to lay people, explaining process to lay people, because, and as I've said to many a person in the past getting ready to go to court on a civil matter or on a criminal matter, justice is not how people imagine it. The outcomes are not how people imagine them. The length of time that it takes is not how people imagine it. The amount of work it takes, the level of the quality of evidence, all of that. It's not how people picture it. The process, going to court, being in court, none of it is how people imagine it. And for the most part, the fact that their expectations so far exceed the reality, they will inevitably be disappointed by the outcomes. Unless you really understand what is going on, you should not be giving suggestions or, speaking about what the implications of something is or isn't, and yet people do, and they do it all the time. In fact, on our last show, we had somebody commenting on the fact that this, trial is going to be, the upcoming trial in March is going to be specifically for a settlement hearing. That is not the case because this is a criminal charge, as you saw, and as I'm going to show you in just a second. So for those of you who have the misconception that this is not a trial and that there are no criminal charges involved, I'm going to show you the proof of it, because the co-defendant of Paloma Zuniga, who's going to have a trial, this month sometime, that person already has a court order for a permanent restraining order against the co-defendant in the case, who's Jovi Val. And I'm going to show it to you so that it's pretty clear that what the words in English we're both reading pertain to is a criminal charge.
Yeah, that's very important.
This is not like when you get a civil restraining order. And a lot of the people that have been involved with Paloma Zuniga have had restraining orders granted against her for a variety of reasons on the civil level, which will eventually end, whether they be for months or for even for years. This is different. It's permanent.
Yeah.
I can't emphasize it enough because
right.
It doesn't happen every day, right, Duke?
Right, and before we get into the learning, putting your learning caps on to learn more about this, I want to thank Crazy Lady. Thank you very much for a $20 contribution through our super chat. She left a message. Let's make her mad early. Yeah, I think that will. And thank you very much for your support.
I think that part of the anger involved is that we have given a place and a platform for a number of people. I believe it was like 8 or 9 people that we have interviewed. I'm being conservative. It could be a larger number. It probably is.
Yep.
That we have interviewed and or we have shown have been victims of Paloma. This case happening this month in New York is just one of them. but it implicates one of the highest consequences, because if the consequences are the same or similar to what she's experienced, what Jovi Val has already experienced, and remember they're co-defendants and they're accused of doing these things to Fabiana Baldo together, then they will face, the other co-defendant will face the same types of penalties under the law, under the restraining order. Mm-hmm. Do you understand that? Does
Yes,
everybody
I do.
understand that?
Yep.
Are you with me on the same page so
Oh,
far?
yeah, still on the same page.
It's important.
It's important. Got to pay attention. And thank you, Lori. What's that last name? Stelfile? Stelfie. Lori Stelfie. Thank you very much. A $24.99 contribution on a super chat. She leaves a message. This is her message, not mine. Let's make her mad. Yes, let's make her mad. Great. Actually, let's make her learn. Let's make her learn. We all should be learning about this because it's very important information.
Well, my goal is archiving all of the evidence, because it just disappears sometimes.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, people scrub their pages all the time. Things just disappear that were there before. And you're like, hey, I wanted to go look at that, whatever, and it's not there anymore.
Well, it's funny because my last show, I was talking about the consequences for Jovi Val, whose real name is Giovanni Valle, and what this restraining order implicates and who it implicates. Mm-hmm. And the next day, a bunch of cleaning was going on social media.
That's right. They got their scrub brushes out.
Yeah, people were like, because I told you, all of these things are evidence of violations. All of these things are evidence of harassment and of the same things Mr. Valle is accused of. And so let's take a look at that court order. Let us refresh our memories, okay? It is between Fabiana Baldo and Giovanni Valle. Remember, this decision just came down from the judge last month, toward the end of the month. And Mr. Valle has already violated this order. I want to point out to you something. I'm going to read this part. The petitioner has also established by a preponderance of the evidence that the respondent committed acts that would constitute a violation. The petitioner is Fabiana Baldo. The respondent is Giovanni Valle. He unlawfully disseminated or published an intimate image of the petitioner. That's harassment in the second degree. He posted it on the internet without her consent. Notice that below that, part of the evidence of the harassment is that on March 27, Giovanni Valle telephoned Fabiana Baldo between the hours of 2:21 and 2:22 a.m. That is 1 minute of time elapsing. Mm-hmm. And between 2:21 a.m. and 2:22 a.m., Giovanni Valle called Fabiana on her phone 12 times.
Wow.
In 1 minute. Calls she did not wish to receive. That's the kind of harassment. That's an example of the kind of harassment that she was experiencing, that he and the co-defendant were accused of. Duke, your thoughts?
Well, the guy just couldn't help himself. It means that he doesn't respect the court order. And he's going to break it because he probably feels he doesn't have any repercussions. As you hear him talk, we're going to play another little piece from The Masculinist. And, you can just tell that he doesn't respect women, doesn't respect the courts. And, so he just figures he can do whatever he wants, and then go hide from the cops, And also, Local Girl, well, thank you. Local Girl made a 1999 contribution on this super chat. and said, expose, expose, expose. Thank you for your good work. Teach on. I say, teach on, dude. Let's do it.
Yes. I teach because I want misinformation to be blown away. I think that too often, when listening to people like Giovanni or Natasha or Paloma, people start to believe just because the lie is repeated so often that there must be some grain of truth to it. Like, for example, I showed you in my last show that Giovanni Valle, Jovi Val, asserted in court, asserted on his masculinist show, that Fabiana and he had been in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, and he dumped her. Therefore, she decided to go through the trouble of going for over a year and spending thousands of dollars to get a permanent restraining order against him so that she would never have contact from him again because she was so angry, because she was so in love.
Huh.
This is the kind of logic that can only come from someone who doesn't understand boundaries and does not follow the law. Here's the second part of the permanent restraining order against Mr. Giovanni Valle. He is restrained forever from going near her. In case you missed my last show, I want to make sure we all understand this is a criminal offense for which the violation of this permanent restraining order calls for mandatory arrest. There is no evaluation. There's no, somebody calls the cops and then the cops go and check out to see whether or not something happened. No, it is mandatory arrest. And to follow that arrest, criminal prosecution, upon which, having gotten some kind of a sentence, you will be going to jail. You will be incarcerated with a maximum penalty of 7 years.
Yep.
If you violate a permanent restraining order for criminal harassment, the penalty is you will be tried in court and you could get up to 7 years in prison for doing that. And I showed you, Giovanni Valle looked at that, saw that order, knew what the stakes were, and decided to go ahead and violate that order anyway. And he went on a tirade on his podcast that he published inside of the app Telegram in a group chat with hundreds of people to let people know that, you know what, he could go to jail for speaking his mind because of the court order, you see.
Yep.
But he's going to go ahead and do it anyway. He basically thumbs his nose at the law and says, I really don't care.
Yep, exactly.
But to be clear, this is a criminal matter. Let's look at this Paloma for Trump post denying that there is any such fate that could await someone that, like Giovanni, gets a permanent restraining order issued against them. Remember, these folks, both of them, are accused in the same case. In the same case with Fabiana Baldo. So, P4 Trump posted, remember when the other woman in San Diego were saying the same thing? No, they weren't saying the same thing. Because one is a criminal proceeding, and the two women in San Diego was a temporary restraining order, which, by the way, was not issued. It was dismissed. So let's just clear it up along the way. She also says, the judge threw out everything, called us a bunch of jealous people against each other, no basis for anything legal. Basically, yes, that was a different issue.
Yep, different
and
court
then she
case.
says, well, the person writing this is just as delusional. And I'm going to show you what the person writing this refers to.
Right.
Facing up to 7 years. Oh my God. This woman needs serious psychiatric help. What are the charges? The charges are criminal harassment.
Yep.
The claims you make of getting phone calls from dummy numbers, that you claim someone is stalking you when you leave your house. Woman, you are delusional. Now she's directing her statements to Fabiana directly. Woman, you are delusional. Neither myself nor Jovi nor his wife care about you. Well, we know Jovi was found guilty of stalking and harassing Fabiana. She proved her case by a preponderance of the evidence. So Paloma for Trump, and this statement is just a deflection from the truth. He is married, all in caps. He will never be yours, though you have tried so hard. I just happen to know all that you have done to break up a marriage, and you cannot stand it. Anthony is getting involved with you. It is the worst move he could have made, as if he didn't have enough. We all know you destroying everything you touch, because no one ever knows who you are, and only have fake accounts. You won't ever show your face like we do. Show us the charges. Show us the proof, because you have nothing. And the man in New Jersey, your friend, actually has a court date coming up after avoiding it for months. Hope his attorney makes it, because he does have a lot on him. Enough to get him on permanent restraining order. She's talking about Michael Shapiro.
Okay.
Due to all that he has been doing for years with his own family and many people as witnesses. And you, we have surprises for you. That sounds like a threat.
Yeah.
For doing all you can to interfere with my work. So Fabiana is trying to interfere with her work. Jovi, it says, will never want you. He is married to one of my best friends, period. Understand it. Move on. So she's saying she's friends with Natasha Bell, Jovi's wife, and that was one of her best friends. She's best friends with this woman. Stop trying to fool people and harass me with bogus, empty, temporary restraining orders issued to anyone who walks into a courtroom. Fabiana does not have one of those simple civil restraining orders. That's not what's going on.
Yeah.
And what she's referring to is a post by someone that got cut off there saying she is on her page, that Paloma was on her page slandering Anthony, and that if he had anything to do, as if Anthony had anything to do with her being served by Fabiana Baldo. When she was served by Fabiana Baldo, she happened to be at an event in El Paso. So she did a bunch of posts on her page trying to equate Anthony somehow with being at fault for him getting, for her getting served for the criminal harassment charges in New York.
Okay.
And she says, this person says, she got served for a criminal trial that she had been avoiding, which is true. The criminal trial has nothing to do with Anthony or a restraining order. That's also true. And then it says, Paloma mixes everything up to confuse people. Yes. That's the most important sentence in this comment. She's facing up to 7 years in jail. Her court date is on Tuesday. Yes. The consequences, if she is found guilty, the consequences and a restraining order such as the one Jovi Val had issued against him for life is also issued against her for life. And she violates it, and we know that she can't control herself.
Yeah.
Then the consequences of being charged, prosecuted, and given a sentence that could be up to 7 years in prison all follow with those restraining orders, with those kind of permanent criminal restraining orders. It's very true. And I just proved it to you. So Leonie is frequently identified by a page called Conservative Truth, as well as by Paloma for Trump, as well as Paloma Zuniga, as Fabiana Baldo. And this is important for you to know because putting out misinformation, changing people's names so she can avoid third-party violations in her mind. The thing is that these people believe that they can avoid third-party violations as long as they don't get caught.
That's right.
Or as long as they mix things up enough so people are too confused to know for sure who you're talking about. Or if people can't prove that a page that you're posting on is coming from you. But, in fact, we already know that in this court case that has already taken place against Jovi Val and Paloma by Fabiana Baldo, there have been findings by this judge that posts made by Paloma for Jovi to harass Fabiana were considered violations of the existing restraining order before the permanent one was issued. So, I think it's very important for us to understand and to be able to document those violations. Here is Conservative Truth posting a hint for everyone about who John Leone is, and the photo on screen is one of Fabiana Baldo standing next to Omar Navarro.
Yeah.
And Conservative Truth posted this, circled a picture of Fabiana Baldo in red, and then put the name John Leone over the top of it. Okay?
Yep.
And we've seen the posts. You've probably seen the posts before the big cleaning job
Yep.
since our last show, where Leone is referred to as a woman that wants Jovi Val, that wants a married man, but that will never have her. The same, almost perfectly similar wording used by Paloma in her personal posts on her personal page and on her Trump page. Here's another post from Conservative Truth talking about how it's time for him, that's referring to Jovi, to get a restraining order against her, Fabiana Baldo. Let the show begin. He has 100 witnesses and so much more. Probably best to just let go. Let it go. Or a second ex will be getting one, a restraining order. So, Conservative Truth is talking about restraining orders being taken out against Fabiana, or allegedly.
Yeah, retaliatory
Ones. And you also heard Jovi Val, delusional Jovi Val himself, talk about how he is going to bring more evidence on a case against him that has already been decided.
It's done, yeah.
The order is written. The ink is dry. It's over.
Yep.
But the misinformation keeps coming forward because they want you to believe there's still some out for them. There's still some way for them. Now, let me explain to you something that happened because there's been numerous appearances, or supposedly numerous appearances, by these two co-defendants, Jovi Val and Paloma. They have not shown up to all of their court appearances. Most of all, Paloma. On the first day of the trial, Jovi Val showed up. Paloma avoided showing up and came up with an excuse for why she didn't show up. But she was paying attention to every step of what was going on in New York.
Yeah.
In fact, she posted about it on her Paloma for Trump page, talking about how Jovi Val went to court that day with his mother, his father, his wife, and his brother. And then, of course, Jovi and Natasha posted pictures of themselves on Instagram as if they were on some date
Yeah.
at court, some romantic date. We know how this man actually feels about his wife and women in general. You heard it from his own mouth. I don't have to tell you about it.
Yeah.
But they posted it on an account on Instagram called InstaLove. And I want you to know what they are wearing. Jovi Val has on a red tie, kind of off-white, kind of eggshell or maybe a little bit of light gray. I don't know. Maybe it's just dirty. Shirt and then a gray jacket.
Yep.
Natasha is wearing a orange, black, and pink striped undershirt with a teal green
Sweater.
cardigan type of deal. Okay?
Yep.
All right, everybody. Then, in this next post, they show from the same account, you see her wearing the teal green, and him is wearing that same suit with squares on it.
Yep.
There's his glasses, the edge of his glasses. And they appear to be in a restaurant. Here's the restaurant food photo of what they were eating. And there's a restaurant menu there. And they posted this. Natasha posted this on her page. Natasha comments to Paloma Zuniga, or Paloma posted the same Natasha post about this Italian eatery
Okay.
on her page on a day that she wasn't supposed to be in court with all of these people.
Yeah.
She posts their lunch location because, as it turns out, it was across from a building that Jovi knew housed one of Fabiana Baldo's residences.
Oh, okay.
So they decided to take a little detour on their lunch hour and go stalk an area that was like, haha, we're over here eating lunch across from where you live. Kind of like they did it, like she did across the street from the hotel with Ximena Sanchez.
Yeah.
Where she was like, I'm across the street from the hotel and they're up there. It's 18 floors, but they got a first floor room so I can totally stalk them. They did the same thing here. And of course, they were posting, Natasha was posting this on social media. So was Paloma. So the court was notified. And so were the police. And Natasha actually comments to Paloma that Fabiana had to call the police and complain about this harassment that took place that got them dinged because the police were called and the judge took note of all of this. In fact, so much so that no one ever appeared on behalf of Jovi in that court again, including his wife.
Wow.
Not to defend him, not to give witness, not to even sit in the room near him. So, what are your thoughts about that, Duke?
Well, it's pretty crazy, and again, it's a flagrant disrespect for the law and thinking that it's not going to affect you. And I'd like to thank Oscar Al Blue for making a contribution to us.
Ooh, I want to read it.
Yes, you read it.
I am donating. Oscar, thank you. Gracias. I'm donating because I damn want to. And in Spanish, estoy dando porque me da la fregada gana. Pues qué bueno. Y para todos los que me escuchan en español, gracias por seguir apoyándonos. Thank you for your support. Always. We want to thank everyone for your support. Listen, folks. This brazen trio of harassers and stalkers went to the court. And if you could go back to the comment, this is what Natasha did on this day that they went to court. They went stalking at lunch. They got caught. the police was called, and Natasha had the audacity to talk about it in this restaurant post, saying, "Some nutty job claims fear." She reported the stalking.
Yeah.
And they're calling Fabiana a nutty job for calling the cops and reporting it to the judge as a violation. For fear for their life, claims fear for their life in some dark hole, while I took out and paid for friends and family on a beautiful surprise lunch date, enjoying our meals and minding our own business in June. But the cops and the court didn't see it that way. Must have used a fake account to spy on me because I clearly block all crazies on my social media. Imagine they believe this post today is even real. So, if that's the case, Natasha rescinded her support because she never showed her face in court again.
Yeah.
And that was because they got dinged. They got in trouble. Both her and Jovi. Perhaps she has a little bit more sense, but I doubt it since she is an avid follower of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now remember, this is Paloma's bestie.
Yeah.
This is a woman that puts her page on her page that I wish Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was my borough president. But you go, girl. Keep it real. Keep climbing to the top. Hashtag Bronx Girl. Hashtag Bad Bench. Hashtag winner. Natasha Bellissima also posted how proud she was of AOC. So proud of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Do you really believe, do any of you really believe that Paloma or Jovi, who were hardcore MAGA movement people and who Paloma claims still to be? We know Jovi is no longer because he was rejected for being a fraud, because he was rejected for being for acting like a criminal and for committing criminal offenses against people like Fabiana Baldo. And yet, you know what? Even under the circumstances, Natasha was smart enough to figure out that she couldn't continue this harassment. Maybe because she already has felony charges for robbery on her record. She knows that as a 2-time offender, she would go to prison for a lot longer time.
Yeah.
But this Natasha, she was posting about how much she loved AOC and, you know, how connected she was to Black Lives Matter. How does Jovi miss this? How does Paloma miss this? How does either of them know?
And it's like, it surprised me that to see that sort of support, because like you seem on the opposite end of the spectrum to be promoting AOC. We just did 3 shows last week on AOC Sandy, which is her, her name she went by before she became Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And Sandy goes to Standing Rock, and how, we've been showing the evidence and stuff that just recently come out from her pages that she had a lot to do with the formation of that big scam in Standing Rock and had planned to run well before that, but use that as a backdrop for her epiphany one day that gave her this vision that she's going to run for Congress. So it surprises me that, Paloma or Jovi Bell or Natasha would be associated or even have anything to do, because it's the opposite end of the spectrum for conservatives especially. I want to thank Raul Valencia for a contribution. You made a contribution of $10 to us, and we really, really appreciate it. We appreciate your support, everybody who's watching. We like the comments. I can't read them all because I'm actually doing more than just sitting here. I have to do a lot of switching and bring things up on the screen, run videos, those sorts of things. But we'll try to catch every comment and try to respond.
Hi, Raúl. Gracias, Raúl.
And gracias, yes.
Bienvenido al programa, and to Sniper 4919, thank you. They say, great job. We appreciate you. Well, we appreciate your support, Sniper, and we appreciate the fact that folks are learning and demystifying this for everyone, and that we are able to shut this down. The lies, the misinformation, they're so unhelpful They're so damaging. Let's look at this post, this next post, in which Natasha, remember, this is the wife of Jovi Val. This is the woman you saw in the picture that showed up on the first day. And she says, fact or fiction, actually breaking news. La vieja loca bruja, that means crazy old witch. Remember, this is talking about Fabiana Baldo, a New York model that is in her late 20s. And it says, she pretends to move on with, drumroll please, another married guy. So, Natasha, the wife of Jovi Val, is complaining about the fact that Jovi Val is back with her and that this woman, Fabiana Baldo, is trying to get him back. We know they were never in a relationship. That's how crazy the lies, the misinformation, and the delusion is. Fabiana Baldo had lunch with Jovi Val. And during that lunch, he asked her for financial support.
Oh, boy.
He begged for money, essentially. And after that, things got really awkward. So awkward, in fact. Things got so awkward, in fact, that Jovi Val had a beef with his wife. She was convinced and violently angry about the fact that Jovi was obsessed with Fabiana. And he was right, because Fabiana was able to prove, and Natasha was right, because Fabiana was able to prove to a court by a preponderance of the evidence that Jovi Val is indeed obsessed with her. That Jovi Val was so obsessed with her that he wouldn't stop going after her. Well, before things went sideways, before things got awkward, Jovi Val was having problems with his wife because of his obsession for Fabiana. Remember, she over here has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, this woman, Natasha Bell, threatens to stab Jovi Val with a knife, and also contacts and threatens with physical harm Fabiana Baldo. And I know for a fact that Jovi Val himself called the police on his wife.
Wow.
Jovi Val had to call the police on his wife for threatening his own life with a knife because of her anger over his obsession for Fabiana, which she proved was so dangerous to her, they had to issue a permanent restraining order against this Jovi Val. But prior to that happening, Jovi himself had to call the cops on his wife because of her violent and deranged response to his obsession, which was to attack him and to try to attack Fabiana. I think that's an important piece of the story.
Yeah.
I think it's important for you to know that before they went to court, before this all took place, where they had to hash it out in a court and get a criminal penalty for Giovanni Valle, aka Jovi Val. These are the kinds of things that Fabiana was being subjected to. This is what she was dealing with. Mm-hmm. And remember, co-conspirator number 2, Paloma, is her best friend.
Yeah.
And Jovi's friend.
I guess.
And knows about all of it. She knows about all of it.
Yeah.
When they talk about how La Vieja Loca or whatever, these are people that know the truth about their own involvement and about the involvement of their co-stalkers.
Yep. And I'd like to thank Alex Martinez for making a $20 contribution to our show. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're engaged in talking and contributing and keeping the conversation up. And make sure you spread this information around.
And folks, let me tell you, this is the highest penalty restraining order that Jovi and people like Paloma are likely to get against them, because this never goes away. This kind of order, once the case for Paloma and Fabiana is resolved, whatever the outcome, it's going to have repercussions for life. It's not something that is just, going
to go
a civil matter. Exactly. On this next post, you will notice that Natasha is talking about... Oh, wait. Go back to the other one first. Go back to the other one, please. I wanted to make a point of something here. Go scroll further down to the bottom. I don't necessarily want to read the whole thing because it's, there, right there is good. It says, about Fabiana going with another married man, that the married man that she is now dating, supposedly, allegedly, is just using her. And she even says that guy will never leave his official wife, or never divorce his official wife. And then talks about her needing to take medication for her craziness, for her insanity. Remember that this is a woman who is married to Jovi Val and threatened to kill him with a knife, had to have the cops called on her because she threatened him and Fabiana. And the person that called the cops on her was her own husband.
Wow.
Remember that. And in this post, and she's talking about who Fabiana is dating. Not only was Jovi Val obsessed with Fabiana at that point, Natasha became obsessed with her as well. And then, of course, you add to it the other layer of Paloma, which is another third-party harasser. Here's another post of hers in which she talks about the bruja, loca, vieja, old crazy witch. That's another set of terms used by Paloma for Trump or Paloma Zuniga a lot. And in this post, they tell you about her family life, about supposed family life of Fabiana, when neither of these people, none of them, actually know about Fabiana's life or history.
Okay, so it's all lies.
They make things up.
Daddy gone and mommy having affairs, gave zero attention to La Loca.
They literally know nothing about this woman. Just like they make up stories about how Fabiana had a relationship with Jovi in the first place.
Yeah, really.
The only way you can explain the erratic behavior of some of these individuals is by making things up. Jovi Val made it up in his head that he had a relationship with her and that he left her when she wanted nothing to do with him. She never did want anything to do with him ever. This is a pattern that you're going to see with these people who become obsessed and then don't know how to deal with being permanently exiled from people's lives.
Yep.
And you saw that, he couldn't handle it. Is this clip next?
Yep.
The Masculinist. Just for folks to remember, because we heard so much about how Jovi and his wife are in love. And we know that, there's been the need for Jovi to call the cops on his wife. And that all three of the folks involved in harassing Fabiana are people that know the real story. We've already established that. But I want you to hear from his podcast that he did violating that restraining order, talking about Fabiana and the judge, what he thinks of women in general, how he sees them as vile, and how he has already relegated his future to having kids without a wife because they're so vile.
Yeah.
Listen for yourselves. Is this a guy who's in love, who these women are constantly talking about, that Fabiana wants? Who in their right mind would want a man that speaks like this about women?
Yeah.
Any woman. Go ahead. Much less a beautiful model like Fabiana.
Well, that's something that men should appreciate, that a man is actually fighting against those temptations, the lust-driven heart, that's very hard to fight against. And I honestly would love to say, hey, I haven't had sex in 2 years, but unfortunately, I'm weak when it comes to that. And I have to really fight against that temptation, that lust-driven heart that I keep saying out loud, like, this is what I'm dealing with. And in a sense, I feel like I have no problem when it comes to women, like, sure, you have these crazy clams online just screaming at the top of their lungs. But other than that, I'm fine. Like, when it comes to having a relationship with women, I'll tell you one thing, though. I don't ever try to be friends with them. You can have a relationship with a woman. You just don't have to be friends with them. There are ways around that, of course. They know what they're there for, and you already set the boundaries, and they have to respect that. The moment they don't, you can walk away. And I guess in a sense, I am a MGTOW because I don't try to build relationships with women, but also I feel like I do want to have a family before I'm 30. Absolutely. I want to have children. I want to have a wife. I can even accept the fact that I will have children and not have a wife because women are just so vile today. It's like, I don't know about you, dude, but I ended up in court because of a woman. I ended up, pleading my case because of a woman. It had nothing to do with whatever they accused me of. It just had to do with the fact that I left her. If she would have left me, then it would have been fine. I would have lived my life. She would have lived her life. She moved on. But that's the problem with women. They never move on. The only way they move on, honestly, believe it or not, guys, the only way a woman will move on from you is if the next guy is satisfying her in ways that you couldn't, right? So in a sense, you can kind of be proud to say, hey, wow, there's nobody that can satisfy this woman because she's obsessed with me. But then
this man had no relationship to Fabiana. And here, he clearly insinuates that not only were they in a relationship, but that they were having sex.
Yeah.
Because the only way that women do move on, women never move on. That's why you can't break up with them. They have to break up with you. The only way that it works if you're having a relationship with a woman, which he doesn't like to have because they're vile. But if you've got to do it, don't like them, don't be friends with them for sure. And the only way that you can separate from them is if they break up from you. Because if you break up with them, if you commit that stupid mistake, just like he did, then that woman will be in love with you forever. That woman will never get over you unless she finds another guy that satisfies her sexually in ways you couldn't.
Yep.
So in a way, he should actually be really, really proud of his permanent restraining order, because what it means is that she can't be sexually satisfied by any man but her.
That's
but
true.
him.
That's what he's
but
saying.
him. That is the psychotic implication of what he believes in his head this restraining order really means.
Yeah.
So in a way, I should be proud. He starts off by telling you he had to go to court. And the result of that court, which he doesn't ever talk about in this segment, is that he was issued a permanent restraining order for life for criminal harassment in the second degree. And he thinks that in a way, that actually he should be proud of that, because that means he's the only man that could ever sexually satisfy Fabiana Baldo, or at least he wants you to believe that. This guy makes up lies on the level of that awkward and stupid college guy that wants you to believe that he's totally not a virgin because he has a super smoking hot girlfriend. It's just that she lives in Canada and they don't get to see each other very much.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, he has all these women that are super into him. And, you know.
Just never sees him.
Right. And one of the reasons he can't see them is because they have permanent restraining orders against them, which means he was super good in bed.
Absurd.
It is absurd, but you can also see they don't think it is. Okay? If for those of you sitting there scratching your head going, what the hell is a MGTOW? And why should I care? A MGTOW is abbreviation for men going their own way. In Wikipedia, it says that it is an anti-feminist, mostly online community advocating for men. It's a bunch of losers that live in their mother's basements, poo-talking women because they can't get any.
Yep.
I just demystified the whole thing.
Yep, there you
and
go.
It says, but this Wikipedia thing says that it's an online community of men trying to separate themselves from a society that they see as harmful to men.
Oh, yes.
In particular, to eschew marriage and cohabitation. Don't live with women. Don't get married to women.
Don't be born by a woman.
But he is married to a woman. Did he mention his wife? No, he talks about one day hoping to have a wife while he is currently married to a woman, and it says he's essentially a MGTOW, which doesn't like marriage and doesn't like cohabitation. And he's married? He's a Nazi, but he's Mexican? I'm confused. I don't think this man knows what the hell he is. I don't think he knows what he is. These are people that are a little cuckoo in the brain. They want something and they think that they should be able to have it even if it literally doesn't fit who they are. You're a Mexican, Giovanni Valle. He thinks that you could be a Mexican Nazi.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that makes you a joke. It doesn't make you a Nazi. It makes you a joke. It doesn't make you accepted. Nobody accepts you. Not the white supremacists, not the conservatives, not the MAGA hat wearers. Nobody accepts you because you commit crimes like harassing women. That's why. So you heard for yourself, this man, he can't stand women. He thinks they're vile. And this one woman who, yes, he was very obsessed with, who he brought a whole bunch of strife that included him getting threatened with a knife into his own marriage over. He is clearly bashing with no concern about violating the law, about getting caught, and about being prosecuted and possibly going to jail for 7 years. Didn't care. Went ahead and did it. And so does Conservative Truths, which we know is essentially Paloma Zuniga de Lint. Here is, we're in scene 2 now.
Okay.
The Conservative Truth post talking about a post from the Leone files. In it, it says, Conservative Truth posts, a.k.a. Paloma, "We know you are insane, Leone. Remember when Conservative Truth is talking about this post, the post is referring to a John Leone post about Jovi Val and Natasha Bell. You see that? So it says, we know you're insane, Leone, and apparently also blind, but this is not a live stream. This is a video we obtained from a public profile. If you feel stalked and harassed by this video, please call your nearest mental health clinic. Two people enjoying their lives is not harassment of you. Please call a doctor if you feel otherwise. So, John Leone posting about a video made on Conservative Truth's page titled Enjoying the Beautiful Life in Baja California is a video that was uploaded where Natasha and Jovi are enjoying a piggyback ride on the sand. And here is that video. Let me show you real quickly that video posted on Conservative Truth that this post is referring to. You had it up there a minute ago. You were looking at Natasha piggyback ride. Here we go.
Yep.
You don't see Natasha or him. You see their shadow in the distance. There it is. They're walking, and they set a song to this, which I'm not going to play, but it was an Elvis song, Fools Rush In. And then they also posted another video of themselves in a mall. It looks like a strip mall, looking for food. And in this video from Conservative Minutes, here you can see they titled Enjoying the Beautiful Life in Baja, the title of the video that goes along with the Leone post. Here's that video.
Elevator, maybe? What is that, Cuban? What is that, Cuban?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
That's Cuban?
I guess.
Oh, I love Cuban food. Let's check it out. Oh, no. Yeah, let's check it out. Okay.
How do you get up there?
Elevator, maybe? What is that, Cuban? What is that, Cuban?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
That's Cuban?
I guess.
Oh, I love Cuban food. Let's check it out. Oh, no. Yeah, let's check it out. Okay.
How do you get up there?
Elevator, maybe? What is that?
This is the voice of a woman that is not Paloma, right? But we know that Jovi Val is in that video. We recognize his voice. And we also saw that Jovi is with his wife, Natasha. So that must be Natasha's voice talking about Cuban food. How Conservative Truth is getting all of these videos is because Jovi Val and his wife are currently in Mexico. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
It is discovered by Jovi Val that somebody inside of his chat, Hispanic room on Telegram, has discovered that he is violating a restraining order against him by talking about Fabiana Baldo, and even asks the person, are you going to snitch? And then, within days, he and his wife, both of who have been in trouble for stalking and harassing Fabiana Baldo in the past, are in Mexico with the other co-defendant. Do you think that getting together with the people from Conservative Truth and putting it up on their website, a site that is currently and has continuously been also harassing and stalking Fabiana Baldo, could be a violation, another violation of the third party sort? Documenting. That is the most important thing. So here's a Conservative Truth Files post. And it says, Leone thinks hate is actually love. Notice here that once again, just like Paloma's pages identify Leone as Fabiana Baldo, here Leone is referring again to Fabiana. Leone thinks when he says Leone means Fabiana, Fabiana thinks hate is actually love. It's not. It's hate. Like, I never want to see you again hate. Like, you are so crazy about me, you wanted to destroy me for not wanting you type of hate. Believe me, it's hate. And he still wants nothing forever, nothing forever. Sad emoji. Enjoying the life in beautiful Baja. Beautiful life in Baja. All of this is referring back 2, the harassment. Now I have explained to all of you that Jovi Val became obsessed with Fabiana, that Jovi Val asked Fabiana for money, cringe,
Yeah.
at a lunch where he wasn't even able to afford to get himself anything to eat, and then got into a mega fight with his own wife where she threatened to kill him with a knife, stab him with a knife, and also threatened Fabiana. And right after the restraining order permanently was issued, just a couple of weeks ago, he talked about it. He violated the restraining order, and now they're all together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cleaning happening on social media, too, at the same time. All very interesting. I think it's worth noting.
Yep.
Can you go back to Conservative Truth Leone files? Yes. And if you'll notice, this one says, John Leone posted originally, Jovi Val and Natasha Bell are live streaming on a stalking page called Conservative Truth. Why would he call it a stalking page? Well, there is a connection between Conservative Truth and Paloma, obviously. And now there's a physical connection between the people posting videos on the page, and those people are Jovi Val and his wife, Natasha. Jovi Val has a permanent restraining order against him. And John advises people who have been stalked and harassed by Conservative Truth to report it to the police. And who to bring to court besides Paloma for Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And he tags a bunch of different people, which includes Laura Loomer, Oscar, Our Station, Brandon Straka, Frontline America with Ben Berquam, Deanne Lorraine for Congress, etc. So then, Conservative Truth has also focused on attacking Fabiana. Here you see Conservative Truth Fabi photo. This one talks about a photograph of Fabiana being fake and how, she doesn't have a partner and she can't find one, but she's a fake person who photoshops her own pictures to look better, to make herself feel better. And that, she's, if people don't ever notice or ever look at her directly, they won't find out that she is 50 years old and she's an Arab with no children and no pets and no family and no friends. All of these things are patently false, right? And then Conservative Truth, which is really Paloma, posts pictures that she's doctored of Fabiana. She doctored the first one. You've seen that picture, and it's completely different on her page originally. So she takes pictures of Fabiana from her Facebook page and then doctors them. And in this one, she altered the first one and then claims the second one was photoshopped by Fabiana. And it's actually what she really looks like. So this person is posting on the Conservative Truth page her lies and harassment and attacks of Fabiana. There's another one in which Paloma Zuniga is doing the same thing on her personal page, and you see Natasha responding to this post. There's like a Barbie doll that's melting, or her breasts are melting, and it says, Paloma says, a model I know spending the summer under the hot European sun. And at the bottom, Natasha refers to Fabiana as splat and flat and pancake back. Oh my God, no brains either. No wonder why men are always leaving Lamau. Remember, she literally got into a knife fight with her husband.
Yeah.
because he would not stop stalking Fabiana. As if Fabiana had any control over the craziness of any of these individuals.
Yeah.
In this next post, Natasha is reposted by Paloma. And Natasha originally said this: anyone who's surrounded with a good circle of friends and family have their life can easily make out when someone is not all the way in there in the head. And it makes sense because they chose to isolate themselves in a dark hole with nothing but hate and jealousy. Trauma freezes people in time, so their behavior speaks volumes due to a loss of parent. So again, creating this false abandonment story for Fabiana. And then Paloma responds to that crazy story, made up story, and says, yes, but she's also a criminal for all that she has done. Here again, she's projecting onto Fabiana what Fabiana is actually moving through a court system. Mm-hmm. The question of who is committing criminal harassment. And we've already found Jovi that to be convicted. Paloma goes on to say, go file charges. Go file charges. And notice that she advises people to go and file false charges, false restraining orders. She does the same. She gets other people to do the same. Mm-hmm. It won't be hard to prove, she says, and also prove why she has been harassing all of us for years now.
Yeah.
No, the harassment is coming from them to Fabiana. One of them has already been convicted. One to go. In addition to that, this same person just lost two cases in a week's time to Mary Tando, and had another restraining order issued against her. So I want to remind folks the mentality of the woman defending this serial stalker and harasser with a permanent restraining order, Jovi Val. She called him super important for the MAGA movement in this post, saying that don't listen to people like Fabiana, who she calls fake hate people, because there are some women who will go crazy for men that don't want them and will make up anything if they feel rejected. Fabiana had enough information about the truth behind Jovi, behind Paloma, behind Natasha, behind their fraudulent behavior, their disjointed thinking, their delinquent behavior. Jovi knew that he and Paloma knew and Natasha knew they had to deflect and come up with their story first. But they always knew they were lying. And Paloma previously had texted Fabiana, telling Fabiana in a text that she knew that Jovi and Natasha's marriage is a sham. Way back when I first did the shows about Natasha and Jovi, and I was talking about how they harass in the groups together, particularly this triad, I showed this text message to you. Here it is, Paloma saying, no, girl, they are married, and she allows this to happen for money. Like prostitution? They have an agreement. He can get money from women. Come on, it's obvious. She pimps him out. Oh, yeah, it is like that. It is like prostitution. And Fabi responds, true, it is an arrangement. He even told me it's a business marriage. Oh. Sick.
Yep.
So, long before she is accusing Fabiana of being in love with the married man that loves his wife and loves being in a relationship, and they're so in love, she knew exactly what the relationship was between Jovi and Natasha. And she talked about it openly. So this illusion is created to misinterpret, so that people are confused and misunderstand the information and begin to believe tidbits of what she says based on the repetition. Don't believe it. Here's another one of Natasha's posts where she says that Fabiana is crazy and that she does black magic and that she pretends to be a doctor preoccupied with medical patients. Fabiana, I believe, still is or was a medical student. She also has a pilot's license. The things they try to say she's pretending to be, she actually does do.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone is like these people who claim to be things they aren't. Then she goes on to get their way because deep down they are so miserable. When people see this and give advice because they feel sorry, they get thrown under the bus for simply saying move on. No. Stalking, harassment, and especially third-party violations, whether it's online or on the phone or whatever, is still a violation of an order. And you can be prosecuted, you can be jailed. So you can get permanent restraining orders taken out against you. So heed the warnings. The next one here shows the kinds of cuckoo allegations this group are likely to make, including the fact that dogs disappear, that dogs are murdered, that dogs have died, that dogs have been taken. Here is just one of the examples of that where she accuses Fox Sports model and sportscaster Jimena Sanchez of having to do with murdering dogs. But this is nothing new. She made the same allegations about Mary Tando. She's made the same allegations about everyone that has exposed her in some way. Oh, I'm going to start acting crazy, stalking, harassing, and attacking the people that have information about what I've been doing, the criminal activities I've been involved with, because they killed my dogs.
Yeah.
They wanted my body. You know, these are the crazy things this person does, including showing pictures that are distorted of the women that she is really obsessed with. Mm-hmm. I showed you what she did to a picture of Fabiana. Here's what she did to a picture of Jimena Sanchez. And again, with all of the allegations that she has made about who's responsible and who's responsible for the things that have been done to her, she's the victim. She's in danger. He's the victim, he says. He's the one that was harmed. He's the one that's losing his rights. Same story, different defendant. And at the same time, she posts videos like this one where she accuses all of China of just being a bunch of live dog-eating, horrible human beings that should be wiped off the face of the earth, and says that the Chinese people in Mexico are stealing her dogs and other people's dogs to eat them alive.
Check it out.
We were watching this this video right now of the coronavirus briefing that they're giving, and it's disturbing what's happening, in China and everything. But here's the thing: not everybody, because obviously every country, we can't generalize. Just we know that we can't generalize, but I mean, any country that still allows the torture of animals the way China does, that eats animals alive, that enjoys the suffering and the pain of an animal as it's dying while you're eating it. I'm sorry, I wish not everybody, again, not everybody, but I wish whoever is doing this could just get wiped off the face of the earth. I can't get myself to watch those videos. As soon as I get a sense of what they're about when I scroll through them sometimes, I can't watch them because I get traumatized by them. But they literally deserve to not exist. Those people that enjoy a frog staring at you as it's suffering as you're eating. That I thought about right now is that Papi was a stray for a long time. Papi was a stray for about 5 years. And one of his, oh wait, hold on, my door's open. Hold on one sec, hold on. Oh my gosh, hold on. One of his, I know he is. One of his neighbors, that, you know, where he was astray for many years, since he was born, he went missing. He went missing last year, I don't know if you guys remember, and then he was found. And he recently went missing again. And we happen to think that people here in Tijuana, the Chinese people here in Tijuana, are grabbing them and stealing them to kill them for food. I mean, if they eat them in China, why not eat them here? You know, because Bobby, the same Bobby that went missing last year, if you guys remember, when Gorda went missing, Bobby came back. Gorda never came back. Christian, Gorda never came back, but Bobby came back, and Bobby and Gorda have about the same build. They're short and stubby. You know, they're like fat, short ones. Not as small as Papi. They're way bigger. But both of them went missing, and Bobby is now missing for good. He went missing about a month ago. His owner is offering like a $200 reward, which in Mexico is a lot of money for a dog. You know, in Mexico, people, if somebody's willing to pay you $200 for a dog, you know, in Mexico, it's because it means a lot to them, you know. So Bobby went missing about a month ago, and he's not back. And we're thinking that he was stolen by the Chinese people, you know. He must have been stolen by the Chinese people, because the dog pound, we don't even have a dog pound anymore here in Tijuana, unless, you know, dog bites a person or something, and then there's a special unit for that. But we used to have a dog pound. I used to fight with them all the time, because they would abuse the animals. I mean, they would grab them in such a way that was so disgusting. So I would record them and send it to the news and upload it to Facebook to show the torture, you know. But I think enough people fought against it where it disappeared. And so we don't have a dog pound. So it can't be them. So who would steal a stray dog, or like not a stray dog, but who would steal a dog that is not like of a special breed or expensive breed or anything? You know, it's not like you're gonna go sell it somewhere. So anyway, Bobby has been missing. So we're thinking the Chinese people here in Tijuana are actually are stealing them. I really believe that, especially because of the type of built that they have. They're not stealing big dogs. They're stealing medium-sized, chunky dogs, you know? So pray for Bobby that he didn't get killed in some disgusting way by these Chinese people, you know? And it's not racism, it's true. It's just the truth. That's what they do. Look at him.
It's not racism, it's true. It's not racism, this long rambling about how the Chinese should be wiped off the face of the earth because they eat dogs alive. How do you eat a dog alive? Which end do you start at?
Yep, exactly.
Like,
yeah, that's pretty crazy, and that was just part of the video. You know, you can see that was just, that was a part we wanted to show you. Other stuff is just as crazy. And I want to thank Country Girl Sears, made a $50 contribution on our super chat. Thank you very much.
Woohoo!
The message is thank you. Thank you, our wonderful investigative reporters. I wouldn't believe P and these crazies if their tongues came notarized.
Well,
Exacto,
and you know what? It's very advisable, because there is nothing but hogwash under the surface. You just scratch a little tiny bit, and all you are going to find is craziness and hogwash, like you just heard. I mean, this was on the woman's page where she raises money for dogs, and she's talking about how
the
Chinese people should be wiped off the planet because they eat dogs alive. Not only is it ridiculous and racist, totally racist,
it is
it's
racist.
impossible. It's not even true. So it's seriously damaging that the misinformation, because it's repeated so often, starts to get disseminated among people, and people are starting to believe even parts of the stories, such as that Jovi had a relationship whatsoever to Fabiana. He didn't. Just like Fabiana didn't have a relationship to Jimena Sanchez, she probably invented it in her head.
Yep.
Because she told people Fabiana used to come and shop at her upscale store in Valle del Bravo, where she was such a successful businesswoman in Valle del Bravo. And that she became obsessed with her beauty. And then she and her mom, Jimena Sanchez and her mom, began doing witchcraft to take away her beauty and to take away her celebrity. And then after they made this pact with the devil, guess what happened? Jimena became famous and beautiful and successful. Paloma became nothing. And you know what that means? Jimena stole everything from her. That is the story that she has been telling. And in addition, to bolster her right to continuously, for years now, she's endured longer than Fabiana has, for years, the constant threats and harassment. She tells people that some dude who never was prosecuted in Mexico has something to do with Jimena maybe burning her hair, which she never proved anybody did ever to her. And also something having to do with killing her dogs. And also something having to do with her and a model being kidnapped.
Were they Chinese?
I don't know. I don't know if there was Chinese people. There might have been Chinese people eating dogs involved in that story too. I don't know. What I'm going to tell you though is that the fact that there are Chinese dogs that eat people and Chinese people that are eating dogs and that are kidnapping stray animals, and that there are people that are doing black magic and burning her hair and causing her dogs to go missing, whatever that means, or all of these far-fetched things, is because they are lies.
Yeah.
It's because they're made up. It's because none of it has any touch with reality. None of it does. I'm trying to illustrate for you the level of detachment from reality that these folks experience. And maybe it's how they soothe themselves. Clearly they know the truth and they're in denial. Or maybe they really do believe the delusion. Maybe the delusion for them is real. Maybe that's the only way that they feel comfortable dealing with it.
Yeah.
But we know, and we've seen in the case that is currently going before the court, that Paloma Zuniga, through her pages, specifically the FCON's page, has already been found in violation of this order. Here is of the restraining order. Here is the FCON's page, and here's just one of the many posts that this stalking page, that this harassment page posted, all of which, of course, has to do with Paloma. Yeah. Notice that she talks about Fabiana being a Muslim and distorts her image.
Yeah.
She always uses Photoshop and then accuses the women of using Photoshop on themselves to make themselves look beautiful, which she does frequently to her own photographs.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is kind of ironic and funny and sad. Yeah. And in this other one, the same FCONs or another version of it posted this. Farid Khan family. Bestie no friends flabs, that's referring to Fabiana, which they call flabs or I showed you what Natasha and her flabs or splat. Makes up fake babies, gives them names. It's really crazy. And she wants to be really, really famous. And no one mentions her. And she has no friends. And Jovi, notice how she distorts the name, but she's talking about Jovi Val.
Yeah.
Jovi and Natasha are getting hot and heavy after the celebrating. Do you think Jovi gets hot and heavy with anyone?
No.
Anyone at all? He's the kind of guy that's like, I don't want to be friends with you. I mean, you should know how to stay in your place. I'll have sex with you and likely will end up having babies without a wife, but that's the way it goes because women are so vile. Will you marry me?
And have my children?
In this post, Natasha.
Nope.
Oh, that's the piggyback ride.
Yeah,
we already did those.
those.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's it.
So, to recap, you can post on any number of fake accounts, which, if you examined forensically, with the same use of phrases, of language, the same syntax, etc., it's pretty easy to identify. In fact, the fact that, these three people are together right now in Baja California posting to these pages really seals the deal to show these pages are used to violate an existing permanent restraining order with content from people that have been restricted from using social media to stalk or harass Fabiana Baldo. And we will continue to document any violations, any third-party violations, and we suggest that people out there do the same.
Because there's a lot of cleaning going on.
Because there's a lot of serial erasing and cleaning and backpedaling going on. And that's why we need to document everything. And that's why I do it here on A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp.
You've been listening to 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color to your airwaves. Thank you for being here tonight, contributing to our super chat.
Yeah.
And mixing it up. I hope this information was educational, and I hope that you share it.
Oh, yeah.
Have a great evening.